Good afternoon. Welcome back to Passionate World Talk Radio Network, to educate, to enlighten, to entertain. And today's episode on Lest We Forget Historical, we are talking about plain and simple bank scams because they happen to everyone, man, woman, young adult, in the States, abroad. It happens. So we're going to talk about that today. And if you receive Microsoft or have a subscription to it, you will see there are all kinds of scams now, being spoken about in articles that you should take the time to read. Or if you don't, always come to youtube.com/Passionate World PW Radio or PW Talk Radio, and you can find us. Or go to the face group, Scam Damnation. So it's facebook.com/Scam Damnation, and listen to it there. Or other sort of places, like our website, passionateworldtalkradio.com. Okay, let's get back to the beginning. You're probably asking yourself, what is a bank scam? It's also known as a financial scam, and it usually involves deceitful and fraudulent activities aimed at exploiting individuals like you and me, financial institutions, Chase Bank, or weaknesses in the banking system for illegal monetary gains or sensitive information. Scammers use various deceptive tactics through electronic means to trick unsuspecting victims or companies into divulging their personal and financial details, granting unauthorized access to the sweat, blood, and tears you put in to either create a good, reputable identity or your money. It's bad enough that you have to pay all kinds of dollar and cent type additional contributions from your paycheck, but to willingly give it away, no. Bank scams can take a lot of different forms, ranging from the sophisticated, staying vigilant and informed about these latest scams, which is what I'm doing on Lest We Forget Historical and Scam Damnation, will help you stay ahead of all the craftiness and fraud that's occurring. Despite what you hear, scams can target anyone at any age, background, or financial knowledge, which begs the question that you need to keep on re-educating yourself and be aware to combat these fraudulent activities in the financial domain. First type is phishing scams, PHISHING scams. This is the most prevalent and cunning techniques. They involve the use of fraudulent emails, messages, or websites that closely resemble legitimate banking platforms. Skeptical? I received a notice from I thought was someone who was asking me about my car registration and whether or not I had paid for it. And they wanted all kinds of information about my company, Global Media Network, LLC. And before I did anything, I contacted my CPA and asked him to look into it. And he called back and says, it is a phishing expedition. Don't answer it or provide it any information. And that's what you need to do. If something sounds suspicious or doesn't look quite right in your email box, contact someone you know or an authority who knows. Life is a team sport. You don't know everything on your own. I'm a 50s kid. I'm a long way from the 50s and 60s. Things have changed dramatically. Call up someone you admire you know or is in the banking business, a friend who's knowledgeable, and talk to them. Because believe it or not, everything you find on Google, Foxfire, is not always the truth and nothing but the truth. So help you. Then there's ATM skimming, a method where fraudsters install hidden devices on ATM machines to capture card information and personal identification numbers, your PINs that you have to enter, from unsuspecting users. These devices are cleverly disguised to blend in seamlessly with your ATM appearance. It captures data when a card is inserted or when the PIN is entered. Skeptical? My station manager was telling me about a lady who went to an ATM machine. She withdrew some money, pocketed the money, and was interrupted by a guy who said, "I don't think you collected all your money from the ATM machine. You ought to go back. Let me have your card and I'll do it for you." So the lady, thinking this guy was a good Samaritan, gave her her card. Well, $4,000 emptied out of all her accounts from several different ATMs. So think before you act. Just don't willingly hand over your hard-earned cash, because once it's gone, it's gone. It cannot be replaced. Malware attacks. Scammers employ malicious software or malware to infect victims' computers or mobile devices. Once installed, the malware can capture sensitive information. You do your banking online? Yup, it can do that. You pay your bills online with a credit card? Yup, it can take that number. And once that's done, the information is now stolen, and it creates clone cards, or maybe even directly access your bank account, checking, assets, savings. Something for you to think about. Social engineering, which is, it relies on the psychological manipulation to deceive individuals into divulging sensitive information. These scammers may impersonate a bank employee, government official, or other trustworthy figures to gain your trust and extract confidential information or money. It happened to me on my first scam, and like an idiot, I gave him, actually his agent, information to get into my bank account. Wrong move. Don't ever do that. Just delete or block or get off the phone. These schemes feed off of your human vulnerabilities, such as fear or desire to help. So be forewarned and be forearmed. Fake websites and apps. Fraudulent people create counterfeit websites or mobile applications that closely resemble the legitimate banking platforms. An unsuspecting user may unknowingly input their login credentials and other sensitive data into these fake platforms, providing these people with the information they need to perpetrate bank scams. Vishing, VISHING, voice phishing, a form of phishing that takes place over the phone. Scammers, with the help of AI, can now impersonate legitimate organizations such as banks or government agencies and use social engineering techniques to trick victims into revealing personal information such as account numbers or PINs. They may use caller ID spoofing to appear as a trusted source, making it difficult for you to identify it as a fraud. CNP, card not present fraud. In CNP fraud, scammers use your stolen credit card or debit card information to make unauthorized transactions without physically presenting the card. Talk to your bank. Find out how they can protect you. My bank does a great job and does a good job of protecting me. That's the beginning of what your bank should be able to do for you, is to protect you. This type of fraud occurs an online or phone transaction where the card details are sufficient for payment without requiring the physical card to be there. Beware. Then we have SIM card swapping. Again, scammers target individuals with weak security on their mobile phone accounts. They impersonate the victim and convince the mobile carrier to transfer the victim's phone number to a new SIM card under the scammer's control. Yesterday, I was talking with a business client and I received a phone call, and yet the operator's voice came on and said, "This number is restricted," which meant the call could not be completed. Something for you to arrange with your cell phone carrier, and get that protection. So if somebody is a spammer or somebody's trying to get information from you for free, that will prevent that from happening. Then we have ransomware attacks, a type of malware that encrypts a victim's data, rendering it inaccessible until a ransom is paid. You've heard about it. Somebody calls up pretending to be your great-great-daughter or great-great-grandson, and they lost their money or their pocket was picked and they don't have the funds. Please send me wire, Zelle, a gift card so I can have the money to get home. Don't fall for it. They usually come in the context of bank scams, and it targets individuals, financial institutions, or businesses, leading to significant financial losses and disruptions. And we'll end with invoice and payment fraud. Yes, that too. Scammers target businesses by sending fake invoices or payment requests that appear legitimate. And unsuspecting employees may process these payments, leading to financial losses for the company. And we will take this up next week, unless we forget. So, what do you need to know? You need to be aware. You need to be kept updated. You need to keep educating yourself and reading the articles that are out there. Or better yet, your call to action is to listen to Lest We Forget Historical with your host, Lillian Cauldwell, who's doing a mini-series on all things scam. And that ought to help you, because we provide the URLs where you can find the information and the additional content that you ought to go look up and make sure. So it'll make a difference. So your money, your PIN numbers, your account numbers are kept in a safe place. Computers are not safe places anymore. All you have to do is listen to the latest crime show, and they'll tell you what criminals do in order to get what they feel belongs to them and not to you. Thank you very much for listening. You can see this all over again at youtube.com/PWR Network, PW Talk Radio. You can see it at passionatworldtalkradio.com/blog. You can also see it or hear it on facebook.com/Lest We Forget and Lest We Forget Historical. So it'll either be facebook.com/Lest We Forget or facebook.com/Lest We Forget Historical. And that way you can keep up to date on the scam series, and also take a listen to some of our earlier programs from 2023. Thank you very much for joining me. Have a great week, and I'll see you next week.